So, Mark, at the moment we all know there's a large skill shortage in the construction industry. How do you find this affecting yourselves at the moment?
Very tough, the labour market at the moment, because we need to somehow bring youngsters into it. Yeah. It's not exciting on career day at school when they say, would you like to come into the construction industry? We as developers need to be out there more, showing the excitement of what it can do to come and work within the industry.
Yeah, I agree.
We've got to get out there and actually bang the drum and say, actually, we are something that's worthwhile putting the effort into, because if you come in and do skills, eventually you can then go into management, and within management, you know, there's so many more opportunities being a developer. Learning the trade could actually mean one day you build your own house. Yeah. So if you have a look at a lot of certainly the SME and the micro builders, a lot of them have been either carpenters, plumbers, plasterers, bricklayers. So we need to make it more exciting for people to come in, gaining a lot more homegrown talent. So we need to make it exciting in the schools for, come into our industry.
I remember computers coming into schools and moving away from the more hands-on, like craft design, technology type subjects in senior school, and then them shifting to computers. Yeah. And then when we set up Oneway in 2005, there was still a massive skill shortage, and they were getting rid of the old construction training cards, the CTA cards and stuff, and moving over to CSCS and stuff. And there was a huge like void of people just not coming into the industry and not coming. It's not self-promoted.
No.
And I think I was watching or listening to a podcast of last year, and the guy was saying that the child wasn't performing as well as they could do at school, and basically the teacher said that if you don't basically pull your socks up, you might end up working in construction. Yeah. So it was used as a negative rather than a positive.
We've got to get out there and actually promote our industry better. Yeah. It shouldn't be down to the government to fund it. It should be, if we get good labour, we get good results, and therefore that makes us a better business. So it's in our interest to make sure that we bring younger talent through, and it's very difficult.
But also as well, if you look through like the tougher times and stuff, like when we've had economic troubles, the government historically invests more money into construction, right? Because it's one of the top sectors where it pulls you out of a
recession. Yeah. It generates the most income tax and revenue for the government to be able to basically run the country on. Yeah. With us, the more people are developing, the more profits people are making, therefore the more corporation tax. It is an industry that needs to have a lot more push for youngsters to come into it.
I mean, we've done bits where we've tried to promote through colleges. We've gone into schools and spoken. We've obviously last year we set up our social media pages, and we picked different platforms to try and get interest with different age groups and stuff in what it is we do in construction. I mean, we're not a construction company as yourselves, but we obviously put people into construction businesses, and we've tried really hard to do as much as we can to promote it from our side of things.
How do you get across to youngsters now? So when I was growing up, everyone wanted to be a footballer or whatever. You then had the Premier League, all the big money. Now, the kids all talk about wanting to be influencers and all over, TikTok and Instagram, trying to get their followers up. But with all things, there's a great career for some, but there's a lot of people that drop through the net of that.
I think if you watch social media, I think there's a lot of talk around all the stuff you said. So there's a lot of young people, which obviously young people are going to be attracted to, and they're watching, right? And my children are, 9 up to 15, and they watch the TikTok and Instagram, and it's all, like you say, people talking about drop shipping and doing this business and doing that business and earning this much. That's what they're being indoctrinated to believe the world is like. We've got a couple of young apprentices in our business, and one of the guys, Will, said that he actually tried some of these things whilst he was at college. When we were in the interview, I asked him about it, and he said he tried some of these things, but very quickly he realised there wasn't that money to be made or that regular income. Yeah. But that's what they just buy into, right? So obviously the job that we do and the job that you does, those jobs are actually both really good careers with lots of potential. It's just getting that message across to people so that they understand. Like you say, you could even come in, you could maybe not be the most academic at school, but you could come into the construction industry. If you had to, you could start absolutely entry level, and you could go up to being like managing director of a building company
easily. Or own your own business. That's the other great thing about the skills. You start off as an apprenticeship. At some point, you can then break away, own your own business, and that then gives you the work-life balance that certainly the current generation want. You can do that more when you are in control of what you are earning.
We had last year we had one of our clients. They were a national house builder. They asked us to help them find apprentices for their business that they wanted to put into the business. So they obviously had their own internal recruitment team that were trying to go out and find apprentices, but even trying to find apprentices in anything at the moment is quite difficult. So we assisted them with that last year.
And like I say, I think
it
goes hand in hand, like you say about schools and everything like that. That also needs to be like the teacher's responsibility, because I feel like when I was at school, 10 years ago, throughout my whole time there, nobody ever said like a career in construction would be
never talked about.
Not only a good career, because they're always going to be needed, but also you can earn very good money. If you're a bricklayer, you're going to earn good money at the moment. Carpenters, so many different trades you can go down. And I never feel like that's pushed in the right way. It's always academical or going to university and doing this and doing that. I think that's where you said like the stigma of working on site is a negative one because of the people that end up working there. Whereas on the flip side, it's completely not. And I think if I was to go back and do an apprenticeship, like in a trade, I'd love to do that. Do you know?
But also as well, it's only one part of it, isn't it? That's the point. I think people think working on site means you have to be outside in the rain, getting muddy and dirty. There's so many other elements to construction, from accountancy to finance, legal,
in our
commercial,
our
everything.
business. Even in the office, we've got 9 different departments. Land, planning, design, technical, commercial. We've got an after sales team, we've got a quality control team, you've got the construction team, you've got the sales team. There's so many elements that you can come in and do that is part of a family, part of a team that's actually producing homes. There's a lot more to it than just being out in the freezing cold trying to lay bricks, but
which isn't for everyone, right?
No, it's not for everyone.
But some people might love it, and you can make a load of money from it as well.
Exactly. I think bricklayers at the moment are earning, £250 a day.
I'd say £250 a day, probably, isn't it? Something like that. Yeah, you're probably about right.
And I know quite a few of them. Come Friday lunchtime, they've earned their money for the week, and they want to go home.
Poets' Day.
Yeah. If you said to a 16-year-old now that in 10 years' time you can have your own business, if you don't put a label on that business, that's an exciting thought process.
We've had apprentices ring us up that are working in companies, let's say like yours, where they've said, I'm doing an apprenticeship for, let's say, being a carpenter, but I'm only getting £70 a week. I'm talking a few years back now. And they'd be like, I'm only getting £70 a week. Can I come and do some labouring for X amount per hour? And you're like, well, why would you want to do that? And they're like, well, because I can earn, let's call it £200 a week, and that's more than my 70. And you're like, yeah, but that 70 in 5 years' time is going to be worth far more than the money that you're going to get as a labourer. So we obviously, from a morality point, always try and steer people into the right roles. Do you guys do anything from the apprentice front as a business yourself directly? Do your HR team?
On sites we promote apprenticeships. So again, the employment skills provision that we have under planning is trying to promote very much local labour. So you try and get apprentices, you try and get them from the local communities. Then in the office we have very much a philosophy of our first look at recruitment as inward, and then you try and recruit up and then recruit at the bottom again. So it is.
How have you found the apprentice bit? Because we've had an apprentice advert running for 15 months, and I think in that 15 months we've had 4 applications, and we probably hired 3 of the people that we've had.
There is a shortage. So at the moment we're desperate for technical staff. And we took
when you say technical, for anyone that doesn't know, what type of
so that's to come in and check the drawings, so architects, engineers drawings, check all the floor joists and roof trusses, and then assess that they are what we need, and then send the approvals through so that the site can call them off. And we had a young he just finished university, so he was in his early 20s. After 6 months has left us to go to one of our competitors because the money is there for them to go and earn it.
So they're moving.
But now trying to re-recruit that position, the quality of candidates coming through just aren't really there.
Fair enough. And what would you look for in a candidate? In that sense, you say the quality, like what would you look for?
Well, the first thing is ethos and attitude. You can do a lot more with people that want to be part of a team. It's very hard to demonstrate in an interview process because everyone says, "Oh, I enjoy being part of a team," but actually, it's the engagement. It's in an interview with someone who's actually excited about coming in and making a difference and being part of that team. So, a candidate needs to have certainly done their homework as well and have a bit of an understanding about what the role does and what the role can move on to, and also what we as a business do.
So obviously you're sat here with two recruiters. If you could ask us any question that you've ever wanted to ask a recruiter, what would it be?
Any question to a recruiter? Why did you start this?
Because you always get, because people, I suppose, I don't know, because we've never had the opportunity to be questioned, I suppose, from someone in your position. So I just thought it might be quite an interesting point.
For me, do you do this because you actually get some enjoyment about placing people? What ticks your box when you go home at night? What actually you go, do you know what, I've had a good day today?
Do you know what, when I first came into recruitment in 99, 2000, I didn't know anything about recruitment at all. I had no idea what it was. For me, it was more of this is a sales type role, and we're looking for people to do X, Y and Z. But what I really enjoyed about it the most was the dynamic of dealing with so many different types of people and so many different industries, and that was the bit that I enjoyed the most. You could be dealing with a labourer or a managing director or a carpenter, a bricklayer, a forklift driver. You might be dealing with a housing company, a subcontractor, a main contracting company. So I get bored quite easily. So every day when you come into work, you're not just in that routine of, let's say, for example, in a shop stacking shelves, you're always just putting the same baked beans on the shelf. It's like every day is different. Yeah. And it was that change that I enjoyed the most. And then obviously as you get more experience in it, because you can come and do recruitment day one, to understand the client and to understand the people that you're going to put out of work, that happens over a period of time. You don't just pick it up within 4 or 8 weeks. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%,
it's a time thing, isn't it? But that, I think, once you understand that and you've mastered that, it just becomes really like rewarding without sounding cheesy. Because it's a company, you can go into a company and sell them anything, but actually it's much better to go into a company, understand what it is they need, understand what it is they look for, work with a company that has maybe some similar values. Yeah. Like you get, I suppose, as you get more experience, you get to pick and choose, don't you? Rather than just out of desperation trying to put people into jobs.
Yeah, I would say, go back to your initial question. Did you say get like,
what ticks your boxes?
Yeah, what ticks your boxes about making a placement, and does it make a genuine difference? So, 1,000,000%. So on my side, where it's a temp side, so anything on site, so you're making 10 to 15 placements a week, you do genuinely build up a really good rapport with your candidates. There's people I've kept in touch with, still keep in touch with now, even if they're not working for us, they still give me a call, say I am, and all that sort of stuff, which I think is brilliant. And being there 6 years at the company, having people that you can speak to every other week and get on really well with and just ask about the family and all that sort of stuff. Sometimes if they're happy in work and they are working permanently for a company, but they still drop you a call to see how you are and stuff, I think that's a massive thing. And
they become your own workforce, don't they?
Yeah,
100%.
I enjoy doing business with people, not with companies. For me, I admire what you do, because I've got 70 staff at the moment, and if nothing changes, I'll have 70 staff. So it's 70 people that I'll interact with over the next 12 months. For you to get, you must interact with.
We do, but the thing is,
100, 200 a week.
The thing is, we do, but I think the thing, I don't know what clients necessarily think, but our core of people that go to work for us are the same people we put out every week. Yeah. Like, they're people that work for us for 3, 5, 8 years, and we're always putting that same kind of group of people out. And people are like, well, I don't know why we use agency. The guys, they're not this and they're not that. The people that we have, they just like the flexibility of going from, they don't want to be in the same firm for 5 years. They like to go from job to job, but they've stuck with us for donkey's years. And like you say, I suppose there's people there that you still talk to now that maybe you don't put out to work.
Yeah, and I think if you work permanently for a firm and they're working in Southampton, you live in Southampton, brilliant, but they win a project which is further away, let's say Basingstoke, and they don't want to travel that, they haven't really got a choice. So for them, they trust us in the sense of we might just keep a guy local, so might work for yourself and work for a competitor, but always be in and around the same location. So, the longer the job, the better. Yeah. Job security is key in this current market, let's say. But if someone comes to you and you get them local work, I think that's more beneficial sometimes than getting a permanent role on our side.
I'd agree. I think putting the people out to work and just the variety every day for me, I think that's what I always really enjoyed.
But you need to bang the drum more about that as one way, telling people that you care.
Yeah,
that's how you get people. You get good candidates coming in, because we need you to bring us the right candidates. The one thing that we don't have time for is, in that whole process, is just stopping. Our machine keeps rolling and rolling and rolling. We rely on One Way and some of your competitors, because let's be honest, you can't recruit everyone. You won't have enough time to be able to recruit everyone. But we need you to be as engaged as we are, and the great thing about One Way is you are.
I think where we've probably changed in recent years is we're probably a lot more focused on partnerships with companies. So whereas historically when we set up, we were just making the standard, do you need a guy?
Yeah.
Got a really good guy phone call, which probably every business has done or does do. We just moved away from that, and we were like, actually, I think we just evolved. And we just decided we wanted to partner up with companies, so understanding what it is they're building, how they work as a business, what their ethos is, and actually being bought into that company as much as our own, if that makes sense, because that makes it far easier than when you're talking to one of your guys. Well, Bargate's got this and that and this coming up. You understand what it is. You can kind of prior plan what future works there are. And you can actually sell them into the business.
You've just helped me answer the original question. That's what we want when people turn up. And if you've helped them get to that, when they get to an interview process with us, they're already engaged and at that level.
Yeah.
So,
we still make mistakes though, mate.
Human. Yeah. We make mistakes building houses. You can never build the perfect house, no matter what. There'll be a blemish in there that we might have missed, that someone, the homeowner sat in the front room and the lights coming through at a certain angle. They can see it. The attitude from us is how we put it right. That's the bit that makes everything different, and different developers have a different attitude towards how you put your mistakes right. And if you're doing the same, that's I think that's what we look for.
I think that's probably partly the reason that when we're recruiting for ourselves internally, we haven't recruited as quickly as we would like, because there's lots of people that come in looking for a job, but not everyone, you don't get that buy-in that they maybe have the same sort of maybe morality is not the right word, but the same ethos, if you like, as what we've got. We've had many people in the business, good and bad, over the years, as I'm sure many people have. And we've had a lot more good than bad. But again, I think we're just where we're at. We want to make sure that we're growing, but we're growing sustainably with the right people, and that it doesn't affect the team dynamic downstairs, and that we don't bring on a bit of a rogue that's going to maybe go against the grain of what we're trying to do and what we're trying to achieve. And those partnerships, I think for us, they're more sustainable long term as well. It's better to be doing business with someone for 20 years than for a day or two. Mark, what's the future looking like for the housing industry, Bargate, and particularly yourself and the team, and what you guys are up to then? How's that faring out?
Growth is the key for us. We are on a journey that we're part of the way through to try and become a 400 unit a year size business, which means that our recruitment at the moment is going to be pushing on this year further. So we'll be looking for a lot more background staff in the office. So that's land and planning, so that's understanding the planning system, understanding how that's going to have an effect on our design process. It's then bringing in more technical staff to be able to turn the new regulations into drawings that our commercial team can go off and build via or place orders on. We then need the commercial team to then be a stronger team to be able to then cope with the additional units that we're going to build in a year, and then that then falls through to construction. Once we've built them, we've got the after sales and the sales team. So we need to grow the team probably by another 10 to 15% over the next 12 months.
Wow.
And within that, we then need suitable candidates. We need people to take time to understand, as a legacy house builder, what we are looking for. We very much are here for the long term, not for the short term. There's quite a few people that have joined the industry over the last 20 years that have seen TV programs that have gone, oh great, go and go and develop something, make some money, and then go and retire in Spain, and then go on the program, become places in the Spain or holidays in the sun, all those bits. For us, it's about leaving a very, very large footprint on the industry. By the time that I finish, I've got another 15 years in this industry, and I want to help promote new build housing, have staff. So my receptionist Etty, she's 17. I'd like her in the next few years to actually grow, not just be reception, move into other roles. And it's about trying to promote the growth of people rather than just the growth of the company, because we are a people industry.
I'm just trying to think, like, obviously what we were trying to convey was basically just encouraging people into the industry. So whether it be people that contact, maybe they can go to your Bargate. Do you have vacancies of?
Well, quite genuinely, I'm here to help promote the industry. The best way to promote the industry is via recruitment into the industry. So anyone who's listened to this, speak to you. Go through your process and assess people to go, actually, you might think you want to be an accountant, but actually I think you're going to really, really work well in other elements of the industry. It's very much about, asking you to help us. Without you, we don't have any staff. We need you to bring better talent in, fresher talent in, and people that really, really want to come and work in our industry. We don't want migrant labour. We want people that's going to be coming here to make a difference. And this is all about promoting the new housing industry via yourselves. So if there's anything that we can do to help you, then
appreciate
we're here to do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. No, thank you very much. Thanks for coming in and getting involved.
Thank you. Tidy.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, nice.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.